Alrighty, hello in TV land. We are live once again with Talk Nerdy to Me. For those of us that are here, I hope you can hear us. If uh, if we have unintentionally appeased the mute gods, please let us know so we're not, talking and ventriloquizing somewhere else. But as always, um, I am your perpetually disheveled host, increasingly disheveled in this heat wave, Alex, and I am joined by my better two-thirds, Gomi and Paulette. So starting as we
You
always
say better
do.
two-thirds and I'm the plague rat.
Hey man, listen. As a, I've a perpetual condition, so I'm a secret cultist to Nurgle anyway. But introduce yourself, Gomi.
I'm Gomi. You can find me out on the web somewhere. I don't even know where I am these days. I'm not actually doing that much. I try to sit down, but the last month I've had the plague, so living it up.
As one does. What was it? Rocking it like it's 2020 all over again. Oh, it feels so long ago.
The
Anyway,
good old 2020 bioplague.
yeah, the screaming 20s instead of the roaring 20s. And Paulette.
Hi, I'm Paulette Anderson. You can find me on socials, Belmuerte66.
All right, so we're gonna hop right into it. As Gomi said, he's feeling a bit under the weather, so we're gonna get his segment done first. We start with tech anyway.
Yeah,
but also so
and
that
it's
way,
easy.
yeah, it's easy. Also, we don't strain him too hard.
Oh, look, I'm already broken. So,
yeah.
But if you want to dive straight into it, the first one I'm going to cover is very local to Australia. But because of the second thing that happened, CloudStrike, it slipped under the radar, and the details just piss me off, quite honestly. But there's a company in Australia called MediSecure, or there was, critical point, and they had a cybersecurity breach, which was a bit of I don't know if it was a ransomware attack. Yeah, large-scale ransomware data breach.
Ugh.
They lost the records for 12.9 million people, roughly 35-40% of the Australian population. They notified in April, and there's a reference to it to the local authority who handles that sort of shit. And then in June, they fold the company. Instead of having to meet their obligations of notifying everybody and that sort of shit, they just go, too hard, throw up your hands, walk away. And so...
So this is a cloud strike.
It's called MediSecure.
MediSecure. So
is the local company. It got hacked. It got a ransomware attack. These things happen.
Yeah.
But their excuse for folding the company is, oh, we don't have the funds to notify everybody, therefore we are going to fold.
God.
That's what I read in a Guardian article, and I look at it and the other articles I've read up on it, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What are sorry to just
they hold medical records. They have basically, you've got levels of I should have mentioned at the outset. They hold medical records on a huge number of people. It's health information relating to prescriptions, healthcare providers, all that sort of stuff. That's brilliant information from a hacker's perspective to be able to go, hey, I've got all this thing on these group of people. Let's pull in some other profile information, build up a bit of a dossier, and target them. So I suspect in the next month, you're going to see a lot of targeted scams, for want of a better word, to really get these people.
Christ. Oh, man.
And so this is what I'm saying. This is going to fly under the radar because of topic 2, which is the big global event of CrowdStrike. I keep calling it CloudStrike like it's a thunderbolt from Thor or something. But no, it's CrowdStrike. Now, this, I think it wiped out about a third of the global computers. And I'm not talking low-level desktop shit. I'm talking the servers that run most of the background systems. So flights and all sorts of other systems were affected. And it pushed them into this death loop, because when a computer boots up, one of the first things it does is it loads the operating system. Now, what CrowdStrike does with their, I think it's Falcon's, this system, is that that loads at the same time to make sure the operating system is secure. So it's not getting hit by malware and other bits and pieces. And so when it is, in this case, misconfigured, somebody pressed the wrong key and they didn't test it with the config file, it crashed the systems. And I mean, all the systems. The solution, of course, was to go to the computer, log in after glitching it into a easier state, and then rip out that particular file to fix it. But the thing is, you have this file, it's not checked or verified to see if it works. It's pushed out globally. And so that creates this whole big clusterfuck. And there'll be teams of, let's go, hostile actors in foreign countries looking at this going, ooh, we could do something with that.
There were police stations that weren't getting phone calls.
911 calls, yeah.
Because it knocked down to everything.
Yeah, and flights were delayed. All sorts of things got hit. It was like the flow-on effects were crazy.
Yeah, and like it actually perfect example of like a digital butterfly effect. Yeah, just this the cascading errors, the little tiny flutter, and yeah, there you go. That's absolutely nuts. Because I was inconvenienced because my fucking Starbucks app wasn't working. That is horrifying. Oh man, no, the digital space is the bigger it gets, the more I'm convinced it's some kind of eldritch entity. It's
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the one quote I remember from studying computer science at uni was actually out of the student handbook, which is more computers have allowed more people to make more mistakes more often, with the possible exception of tequila and handguns.
That's a good one. Oh man.
And it's completely true.
Yeah.
And more people are trusting the system, whatever the fuck that is, to think for them, which of course leads us straight into the whole bounds of AI.
Yeah.
I think about 6 months ago, I mentioned how you could actually copy one of these large language models like ChatGPT-3 for, I think it was $600. And there's now Chinese AIs built off open source code that matches the American stuff, which, if you're into that global politics kind of thing, that can lead somewhere. I mean, all in all, investors are getting worried on two fronts, really. One, they're throwing huge amounts of money into it, and they're not seeing any way of really making their money back. Because what can you do with this? I've seen some really good applications, like for close monitoring of sensors in a closed environment, like a building, and tracking what the hell's going on and notifying when something dangerous is going to happen or whatnot, like such as safety. But in terms of spitting out answers to your homework, I mean, come on, is that really a decent answer? And then, of course, there's the whole legal side of things as well. Where'd I put it? And I've completely lost my train of thought. That's cool. Models collapse when trained on their own shit, which is another thing I talked about a while back. That the more of their own stuff that they eat, and this is now a Nature article that says, by these reasons, yes, we can prove it happens. It's called model collapse. Basically, it eats too much of its own garbage and everything becomes that sort of same level of generic crap.
Yeah. So it's like it has thing of like a clone of a clone of a clone kind of thing where
like a photocopy of a photocopy.
Yeah, it just degrades over time. Yeah.
And yeah, you look at, I suppose just because I was watching it a little earlier, the stuff on Tolkien. Tolkien defined the genre of high fantasy. Did a bloody good job. But since then, there have been lots of copiers that copy the best they can, but the quality and the depth of the world is not the same. And everybody has their personal preferences and favorites. That's cool. But in general, it sort of loses some of that magic until every so often a good writer will come along and reinvigorate the genre.
Yeah.
For me, one of the ones I really enjoyed was Patrick Rothfuss's uncompleted trilogy, Wise Man's Fear and Name of the Wind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because those two books take the fantasy genre and explore it from a different thing and really add depth to it. So it's, the recursive training and feeding it on its own thing, it's going to lead to a bunch of models. We can't build new models based on, because all the training data will be polluted with other
Right.
stuff. So, and the rest of stuff I've got is really looking at cybercrime, because why the hell not? The first one is there was a project back in the 80s or 90s called Tempest, set up by the NSA to point an antenna at a computer and read the signals off it. Now, this is internet conspiracy, weird stuff that I just happened to be reading as a kid. It was entertaining. But now they've tacked on AI to filter out the signal to work out what's happening on the HDMI cable. So imagine sitting where you are, somebody's got an antenna dish on the other side, poked through the wall, and pointing it at the HDMI cables on your screen, looking at what you're doing. And so this,
darn.
they're using AI to clean up the signal so they can read it better. And there's lots of this style of technology coming about now. Like you can use Wi-Fi routers to do sonar echolocation through walls in a building to work out where people are. You won't know who they are because you won't have the fidelity to see it, but that's a possibility. Probably more importantly in the range of cybercrimes is there's a game, and I forgot to highlight the name, doesn't matter, a popular truck driving simulator that caused 1.1 terabytes worth of chat messages and files from Disney to be stolen. So person downloads, and I should have looked up the bloody name, but it's known for its driving mechanics, right?
Mm-hmm.
A Beam NG fan in Disney downloaded it, put it on their work computer. It had a payload. So hackers were able to get via that game into the Disney environments and access chat logs. I think it's Slack is the common business one that gets used. And so they grabbed files and chat messages going on for a large amount of time. 10,000 chat channels, 1.2 terabytes worth of data got ripped off.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really similar to the thing. I think it happens like every couple of months. There's like some huge military secret disclosed on like the War Thunder Discord, because yeah, it's the same. Because you've got like international game community and people like invest, and for that one in particular, it's all about military hardware, tanks, ships, planes, and there's Highlander model. There can only be one with the biggest E-peen, and someone has to go and like find classified schematics for these highly classified weapons of war, and just disclose them just for internet clout. It's wild. It's nuts. That is it's like,
Yes.
I think you got the name right. It's one of those like you've got those insert blank simulator. You've got like the farming simulator, or like the there's like the cross country trucker simulator. I think it's just trucker simulator.
Yeah,
Where,
there's a whole bunch of them.
yeah, but that is wild. Oh my god.
Yeah. And stuff like that happens with alarming regularity.
Mhm.
And then of course, looking at the other side of things, somebody enacted a hack using deep faked live footage of a CEO for a company to convince the chief financial officer to transfer money.
Oh no.
This is a live chat with somebody. I've been looking into it, and okay, probably $500. I could make it technically feasible. It is not hard. It's various overlays and that sort of stuff to tweak your voice, change, transform it. That's voice modulators.
Mhm.
Shit, we've had that for the Daleks since the 60s. So, there's all that. And then, of course, more recently, just locally, there's a voice actor who discovered that his voice had been embedded into a script for a production company, much like what's the name of the actress? Played Black Widow.
Scarlett Johansson.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Her voice was taken and used in OpenAI by Sam Altman, or the company owned by Sam Altman or controlled by. So you've got this whole... The next decade is going to be a fucking shitstorm in terms of deepfakes, identity theft, all that kind of stuff. And we don't have the tools to address it yet.
Yeah.
You know, something's going to start coming out of the woodwork in the next couple of years saying, well, this is how we deal with this problem. And it may be higher levels of restriction around email access or identity online that can only be verified by a government or an existing agency, much like you get with births, deaths, and marriages, or the equivalent in the US, whatever it is, to prove your identity, you are who you say you are, etc. The equivalent of digital passports. But I mean, my rule of thumb with anything digital, if it can be made, it can be replicated. If it can be replicated, it can be stolen, it can be faked. Even if you use something from a technical perspective called an MD5 hash, which is basically a string of characters saying that this piece of code, this is a thumbprint of that code to verify that that is correct. And you have the thumbprint in a public space that everybody can look at and go, yep, that's correct. And when you download software, that's what you should be checking to make sure that what you're downloading is legit and has not been intercepted. Yeah, so... Oh yeah, neural interfaces. What was the university that did this one? Baylor College of Medicine in Texas has used brain scans of 12 people with treatment-resilient OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and they've treated it by implanting electrodes. This is the first stage of neural interfacing, really. Actually implanting stuff in the brain to enable control of personality or influence on behaviors or additional sensory experiences. I mean, I know they've done this sort of stuff. Berkeley in 2005 with a black and white camera wired into the back of the head to allow them to see. It was only like 300 pixels across and it was really crappy. But proof of concept, it worked. So you can probably see in the next, I would guess, 15 plus or minus years, a lot of these technologies starting to emerge and develop. So, yeah, I mean, I can then wander into the pop culture side of things to get to something a little more interesting, a little more fun with Humble Bundles.
Yeah, let's go with
Let's go with the fun stuff.
Yeah, let's go with that instead of the looming horror of mind control chips being an actual fucking thing now.
Well, have you ever read When Gravity Fails? A book that was the primer for the Cyberpunk expansion pack back in 1990, give or take a year. It talks about daddies and moddies, things you can plug into your head to give yourself a different style of personality, so you can be James Bond or whatever and stuff. So it was an interesting read, regardless. Anyhow, Starfinder, second edition playtest primer available from Paizo. 52 books, including a hardcover. If you don't know what Starfinder is, I'll leave that up to you to discover. We also have a classic Pathfinder mega bundle, part 2, but you can also get part 1 as part of it if you're into all the Pathfinder stuff. We have a Doctor Who collection from Cubicle 7 Games, so that covers a lot of different material. RuneQuest, for those of you who like the more crunchier systems, I suppose.
Yeah.
One I discovered just on a thing. Board Game Night includes 9 games plus DLC. This covers Dune Imperium, another one, a bird-tastic one called Wingspan, and Terraforming Mars, among others. And then, of course, Free Leagues has its immersive RPG bundle for the Alchemy VTT. And if you're into digital printing and that sort of stuff, we have Dungeons & Monsters 3, which is 117 STLs for your 3D printable stuff. Then, of course, switching over to the Bundle of Holding, another great collection of gift packs. We have something called the Serpentine. It's a quick deal. It's 3 books. It's Fiasco flavored. It's more story-based narratives. So assume having played Fiasco once or twice, it's a very simple system, but it gives you a fairly immersive game world to work with. Battletech has got on offer 2 bundles. The first one I picked up a while ago, which is the Total War bundle, which gives you all the core rules for the game. And this one is, and they're also now featuring a tech readout bundle, which gives you all this supplementary material for the same game. So, you know. Ultraviolet Grasslands, a psychedelic, fantastic, fan-centered something. Rainbow Lands Caravan Point Crawl campaign setting for old school role-playing games. Wonderfully illustrated, that sort of stuff. And then finally, Stars Without Number, which is another reconstructed bundle, which opens up the door to really high-level sandbox play, where you're not prepping plots or story, but really just situations. And I mean, I've got more crap I can talk about, but you know what? It's not needed. I've spread the joy and happiness of the cyber apocalypse and then finished off with a little bit of the humble bundle. I'll throw across to either of you.
We'll swing over to, since we ended on the humble bundle and a lot of TTRPG stuff, we'll go to Paulette for the TTRPG newsreel.
I would say you said something about Starfinder. Well, Fantasy Grounds just got the Starfinder 2 playtest book in. So I've already opened it and glanced. I can't wait to get in there and play. So, and then we also got G.I. Joe from Renegade Games.
Finally.
And the 2024 D&D core will be available very soon. Of course, you know, this weekend is the weekend I would like to be somewhere other than right here, right now, because it's Gen Con. And it's sold out. Otherwise, I might have been driving up there just for the weekend.
Just stick, little dash cam on, turn it around, talk to the camera as you're driving. It'll be fine.
Exactly. On the way.
Go talk nerdy and drive, kids. No,
don't drive with cams.
No, the Starfinder, the first edition came out. Yeah, like I was just wrapping up college, and that was one of those, like, start, buying up a bunch of tabletop, like, not a new system, but a system that is crunchy. That's the reason why I've with equal measures of affection and disdain called Pathfinder Mathfinder, because the first edition of Pathfinder was a lot.
Oh, sweet summer child.
I know. I was like,
Pathfinder is not complicated. Have you played Rollmaster?
I haven't played Rollmaster. No.
Traveler?
Traveler is another one. I mean, some of the Kyos and stuff can get mathematically complicated. I mean, I mean, the detail is epic. I mean, getting crits in Rollmaster where, blow to foe's head, jellifies contents, try a spatula.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But for me, I love the idea of stuff. I haven't bothered reading it because I started with Traveller and Space Master and also Cyberpunk, which I translated to sci-fi because it just seems easier to do.
Yeah.
Back in the old 2020 days.
They also had I think the kind of like open source like 24XX, which had a lot of ways you could work with that too. But I was like I haven't looked at the Starfinder 2e stuff, but if it maintains like the quality of work, because what drew me to Starfinder was the artwork for it. The artwork was phenomenal. If they maintain that, I actually pick it up if the pocketbook abides. But
I would suggest that the Paizo maintains a high quality in artwork, and it's what gets most people through the door.
They really do.
Yeah, so that's, and I'm sure my one of my tabletop groups will want to play it at some point. Because it's you don't want to do so much with certain restraints of certain systems that are tend to be very theme based. And also, like, after a while playing the same system, it starts to feel like I don't know,
You
retail
want to
work.
step outside the bounds.
Yeah, it feels like retail work after a while. That's like having done like 5Es, since 5E came out as the Forever DM. Yeah, it's like, all right, guys, we're gonna you guys do tabletop. Which one do you want to do? Oh, we'll do 5E, but this. And at the minute I hear 5E, it's just immediately just like, because I like experimenting. But yeah, it's like
Mm.
that's why like things like GI Joe and like the
Mm.
and Starfinder.
Oh, even better, GI Joe can be played with Transformers, which they already have.
Like
Fantasy Grounds already has it. They can be played in the same game.
they're the same system.
Yes,
Oh,
the 20 system.
that
Oh,
sounds
Oh,
it
like
gets
really fun
better.
one shots.
And eventually there'll be other what games that'll come on there that also could be played with them, like Power Rangers. Can you imagine having a Transformer Power Ranger and a G.I. Joe?
so yeah, it's just that God, then they're all from the same publisher.
They're all from Renegade.
All from
They're all D20. Yeah.
So Renegade is making a universal tabletop system for, like, when you're a kid, you dump out your action figures and you're just smashing
Yes.
the anachronistic
Yeah.
smashing together of action. That's so cool. I
See, just to make my childhood, if they added Barbie, I'd be
oh
gold.
hey, Renegade, if you're watching, um, I that
Well, I think there's already a Barbie one, but I don't remember who made it.
that'd be wild. That'd be awesome. And also, like, I mean, if it made if it have to be the same energy of like the Barb movie, fucking amazing, or like Toy Story, or a bit of both, which I would absolutely love.
Toy Story the RPG. Disney make
Oh,
no
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that is yeah.
play it.
Oh man, I love that's that kind of forethought is awesome. Yeah, it's because I'm gonna have to pony up for like GM rights for Fantasy Grounds now. You have to, yeah. It's the I'm sure I can afford it, but
Well, it's an ultimate license is $50, and that
one,
means your players play for free.
yeah, it's like that's courtesy of Rob, big old boss. We see Cybernation Uncensored in chat. We love you. Yeah, this him having the GM license for our previous Cyberpunk Red games and running it. That's how I
Hmm.
got to play with
So
it.
you be streaming it. We'll talk.
Yeah.
Talk.
Yeah. Once my
Mm.
schedule frees up, I'd love to get
Even
my
just a
hands
one
on it.
shot, 2 or
Yeah.
3 sessions.
Yeah, honestly, like for something like if we were to use like GI Joe or Transformers, that
Oh,
lends
no.
itself so easily to one shots because you can watch those and there's no real like through threads. At least not
Yeah.
what I remember. That was forever ago. But it's the yeah those there are some RPGs that just lend themselves perfectly to that that like you know weekend serial Saturday morning
Oh yeah.
cartoon vibe, and I'm there for it. So I got I'm unrelated notes. Anyway,
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to the GI Joe. I did jump into that one as quickly as I got it in my account, which I do get things in my account a lot earlier than other people do, and I jumped into that. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be fun."
and
So,
as soon as you're allowed to talk about it, I would love to have you give like a not a deep dive because a deep dive is that's I think a whole hour segment, but give us like a bit of a sizzle.
well,
You want
they
to
actually did on Fantasy Grounds Friday earlier today. They did dive into GI Joe with the person who did the developing for it with Cameron.
well, that's
So,
Nice.
I'm gonna have to go back and check on that because yeah, there's like now
yeah.
I'm curious about the mechanics and I of course with they always say don't judge a book by its cover, but like the cover and the
God.
interior art helps.
It's
It helps a
beautiful.
lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like if you like we talked about it last time. The whole reason I got into Shadowrun was the cover art.
mhm.
You know, good piece of art, cover art will carry it. What
Mhm.
I've also looked is like a good title as well, something that captures the imagination.
Right.
So I just forked out for because I used to run Cyberspace, which is Iron Crown's version of a Cyberpunk game. I've just picked up Death Valley Free Prison, which is just a nice evocative title, and I'm just sort of slowly churning my way through that. Some of it's really, really good. Others are like, well, I'll just rehash this in my own way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the good thing about being able to drill through all the tabletop stuff and look through the Saturday morning cartoons and go, that cartoon, I'm stealing that bit, and this one, I'm stealing that bit, and mash.
And there's a lot of people, that's how they do it. You know, that's a great way. Yeah, when you talked about the Doctor Who, yeah, that's the humble bundle that'll probably happen. Yeah, for me to go play for mine.
Well, it's
Yeah.
45 items, and I've got the Australian price, but I'm guessing it's going to be around under $30 US.
Yeah, I would say I looked at it, wasn't 30, 35.
Mm.
Yeah,
So,
which like it's like standard because I got the last edition of the Doctor Who like the box set. And the box set was like what the game master's guide, the player's guide, and that's like a one set of TARDIS dice, and that was like $65, and that was like
mm.
10 years ago. So
Okay. Now, who's your doctor? Who's your Doctor Who?
That's a very easy answer
Okay.
because it's the classic Tom Baker, number 4.
Tom Baker.
My second choice is actually going to be Sylvester McCoy because I felt it started to recover at that point. And then there's a mix and match. It's like John Pertwee because that's when I first started watching, but Tom Baker is Tom Baker. But then in the new Doctor, it's like, well, Christopher Eccleston kicked off the series for the new generation. One
Loved
season
Eccleston.
made his mark.
Yeah.
But then it's like David Tennant and Matt Smith. It's like,
They were great.
it's hard. It's a hard choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've for me it's Eccleston because that's when I got into it. I got into it super late because it was just one of those things. I'd have friends in high school and college who'd be like talking about it and making references, and it's like, okay, that's a trash can with the plunger. I know it's from that show.
And a whisk.
The toilet plunger. Yeah.
Yeah. But then it was what it was. It was summer. There was nothing going on. I was like, you know what? I see it on Netflix. Why the hell not? And that's when it started. And yeah, and then I've attended those. I think it was at the 60th anniversary at Comic-Con this year. And I attended that panel, which was really cool. But yeah, no, so before we keep swirling around in tangents, is there anything else in tabletop land you've got for us, Paulette?
Nope, that's the Gen Con, like I said, would love to be there. I'm seeing great pictures coming across,
Before we pass on, which one is your favorite Doctor?
Oh, it's Baker.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, I mean that is when I came into it, that was who was when I started really watching, and yeah, of course Eccleston would be my second. I think he's brilliant.
It was just for all the Doctors. For a lot of it comes down to their smile, and his was just like it was that close to manic. It's like I like the cut of your jib. Is that and the leather jacket was just so simple, very very practical. But yeah. So next episode we'll have we'll hopefully have more things tabletop wise. I only know that they have some things for like the new Vampire the Masquerade like big like setting book, the Gehenna War. But so because I've got people I know that are really big in the World of Darkness. But
I've been I'm watching a channel that's on the World of Darkness stuff, Black Lodge Games or something, and he just said, "Look, reframe your thinking about vampire. It's actually about mobsters." And it's like, light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, now I get it.
Yeah, no, it's it's a very much like a game of political intrigue
Yeah.
with wacky powers. Um, yeah, I've streamed it with with other channels with friends before, and I think, but though my favorite experience in World of Darkness was through Werewolf the Apocalypse. Just because Werewolf the Apocalypse, that's that like the one that's heavy metal. Um, in working in conservation as I did, like
This
Yeah.
my
is
first step into the
my
career.
jam
Yeah, makes me
because
section.
it has the best magic system I've ever encountered.
Absolutely. Once you can wrap your head around it,
Well, that's the challenge.
yeah, it's so different
Mm.
from any other system I've encountered. But once you get it, it basically allows you to create your own spells, more or less.
Well, yeah, and that sort of adaptive thinking allows creative players to go any direction.
Mhm.
But
Right.
if you're like, I've had a couple of players who, let's put them on the less creative side, let's say. Yeah, I'd go through and explain the magic system every single time, and then I just fed them a bunch of pre-built spells that they could fire off when they needed to, and that sort of stuff to sort of help them along. But I mean, the great thing about the whole storyteller system is it really hit a different way of role playing.
Mhm.
It focused in on story, on character, on all sorts of stuff that you could push in your own particular sort of flavor.
Yeah.
I have friends who are massive werewolf fans. I fell into mage. I've got others who are big vampire things. Um, and others who have collected all sorts of bits and pieces across the board. And just the opportunities to get into bizarre situations and just have fun with it. It's great.
And there's the
Now, like the Transformer and GI Joe on
Mm.
Fantasy Grounds, Werewolf and Vampire the Masquerade and Hunter can all be played together.
all the storyteller system, and
Hmm.
I got like a huge absolute shout out to the Mad Lad storytellers that run like the One World of Darkness games where they do run all of them all together. My storyteller for 6 years, Beckett, you're seen, you're appreciated. I love you. I miss the game. But yeah, it's wild and
Mm.
it's fun. I miss it. Before I lament too hard, or we stay in tabletop for the remainder of our slot. Um, I I could if I want to, but there is some nerd stuff to talk about. Comic-Con was last week. Everyone watching has probably already seen a lot of the big news of with Marvel. Um, big the the showstopper aside from just the box office numbers of Deadpool and Wolverine is that Robert Downey Jr. is back, and they're casting him as Doctor Doom. So, uh, that'll be interesting. Whether that's the good interesting or interesting in italics, we will see. Um, they are getting the Russo brothers back for for this next phase. So here's hoping. Um, they did.
Aren't they also getting the writer back as well? One of the writers from Endgame, or
Yes,
the team of writers?
yeah, because they're
Good.
there's been it's been a lot of L's with the last like the post end game, and it's someone who thoroughly enjoyed the even as it was getting very formulaic, who enjoyed the Marvel films up until and even like a little after Endgame in the shows too. Um, it was just to get a little stale. Things weren't hitting as well for me. Um, but Deadpool and Wolverine was a step in maybe not the right direction, but a different direction, which I thoroughly appreciated. Um,
A breath of fresh air to blow out the cobwebs.
yeah. Yeah, no spoilers because it's still like it's only been out for a week. Um, but I saw on Monday. I want to see it again because it is ADHD on film. The it's a Ryan Reynolds project, but it was everything I wanted, and I'm a very picky movie guy. I will sit down, like, digest the movie, and I was like, hey, there was things that I liked, things I didn't like, and here's things I would rather have been done. I didn't have any notes for Deadpool and Wolverine. My only real critique was like, okay, like, Dune was 2 hours and 50 minutes. You could have squeezed another 30 to just give us more. Give more of the treats. Deliver more of that fucking serotonin. Because that's
It'll be in the next one.
yeah, the next one, right? Yeah, here's hoping.
Oh, when? Yeah.
Yeah, when. I mean, if they stay on this trajectory, the next one out is going to be I believe it's going to be Captain America: New World Order, which I'm initially on the fence about. It's Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford's last couple of roles in, they were reprising roles. He hasn't really been that big of a fan of. Indiana Jones: Dial of Destiny was okay. Star Wars, he kind of called it in, and then he got the end he wanted for Solo. But this, I was at the Marvel panel at Comic-Con this year, and this 90-year-old man without any visible Disney necromancy was running around on stage. He was chasing Anthony Mackie around. I haven't seen him that excited to be anywhere in a long time. So that's maybe it's because it's a fresh new project, or maybe there's just a lot of zeros in his contract check. But he was enjoying himself, and it was that made me happy, because one of the first movies I remember seeing was Indiana Jones. That was, it's one of my childhood heroes up there.
Mm-hmm.
God, what else? The 60th anniversary panel for Doctor Who. They did a little teaser for their Christmas special, which is, again, a teaser, very small thing, but I'm looking forward to it. The whole ode to Joy being a character. I don't know if they're going to be another companion, or if there's going to be the holiday companion, but it captured that that Christmas special whimsy, just right out of the gate. I'm looking forward to it. I've been enjoying this now that the season's done. I enjoyed this Doctor Who season, like, pretty well. I think if you guys haven't seen it, there's a Bridgerton episode that is my absolute favorite. It is it's very dumb in, like, the best way, and like that, from, like, very, like campy classic Doctor Who way, and it is so
It was cute.
It's so cute. It's so beautifully gay, and I loved the Rogue. Oh my god, I loved Rogue so much. And then it had, like, the Chessex dice, like, red dice number 5, like, right, like red number 5 die, like, dice set on his outside, on his like, ship console. It's like, you get your name from Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, look at that, roll for insight. Like, you shut up. They made a D&D reference in Doctor Who. We're so back. That was fun. Again, it's when you're seeing the people involved in the projects thoroughly enjoying themselves, just happy to be around their fans. It's always a warm, tingly feeling.
Who was your favorite companion?
Does
Oh, yeah, that's a hard one, isn't it?
Jack Harkness count?
Oh God, yes.
I dressed it.
I'll take him.
I cosplayed him as 1 year. I cosplayed him as 1 year. My friend actually, like, dressed as the TARDIS, so they'd be, like, in the TARDIS box. I'd be clinging onto one side, from the master bit. That's, I think, yeah, Harkness is definitely my number one.
See, I would go with Ace from the Seventh
Oh yeah,
Doctor,
I liked Ace.
because she just had some cool about her.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of more modern ones, because there's been some good ones in there, and it just.
My favorite's Donna.
Mm.
I Donna's, yeah, because she's so aggressively Scottish. Now Donna was great. River Song also.
Mm.
Yeah.
Not
Anyone,
exactly.
What else?
yeah, anyone that makes a Dalek beg for mercy, I'm just like, okay, you've got it going on. But there's, yeah, those are definitely my two, and I missed them. I missed them terribly. But I think of what else, geek and nerd wise. Oh, uh, I talked to you guys before the stream. There's the Keanu Reeves is now with. God, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, which I would feel terrible because his writing for this book is very good. It's within
This is the
his,
Berserk comic you mentioned earlier.
yeah, his Berserker like graphic novel comic series is now like a novel within the, like a regular, narrative styled novel within that same kind of universe. Um, it is China Melville. There we go. Yeah, so Keanu Reeves and China Melville, kind of like co-authored the book from Elsewhere, which was very confusing to my friends who are, really long-standing Elder Scrolls fans. It's like, you got a book about cat people? Um, Elsewhere being the country of the Khajiit in Elder Scrolls, but no, it is hardcore, as the graphic novels are. The graphic novels, that is, they're very viewer discretion. It's blood and guts and grizzle and then some. Um, I was wondering, like, how are they going to up the ante this time? Because if you, those of you who don't know, the whole premise of Berserker, um, B is the short for Berserker. The titular protagonist, that is Keanu Reeves, um, is basically a Highlander. So, and this immortal being with like an almost Deadpool style healing factor. He's, been walking the earth since before the times of the pharaoh. So he's, like, something like 80,000 years old. This ancient, demigod kind of creature, and who's now, like, in his search for mortality, is working for like this shady U.S. Black Ops in the present. And so his story kind of hops throughout history. And there's a chapter in the book which tells his of his coming into he's coming to America, with the Vikings. Like, oh, he's cool, like doing the whole Leif Erikson thing. But the Vikings went, this man is weird. So they like stuck him full of arrows and poison, and like left him on the shores of Iceland. And um, you know, as his body heals, purges the poison, he gets up and goes, still got to get there. So he really, oh, is he gonna swim? Is he gonna like craft a boat? And just stuffs his pockets full of rocks and walks. Uh, yeah, this thing is like, okay, and he has, so he has this reverie of, his past, at that point in time, I think like 65,000 years of life. As he's just walking along the bottom of the Atlantic. I'm like, shut up. This is stupid. This is cool. It is a definitely recommended. Um, because the graphic novels, they show a lot of action, but they don't get into the main character's headspace. This one does, and it's not a great place to be, but it's a really cool read. Which, that is my book suggestion for this month. I've gotten bad at that, but I've thankfully picked up a crap load of pulp books at Comic Con as well. I'll be tearing through those. Um, Other than that, we've got just a bunch of like large and small, like, well, large and small, like animation stuff coming. I saw the first episode of Chaos Theory, which is the present Jurassic World animated series. It's the
Mm.
from Camp Cretaceous. Now they're all grown up. It was incredibly done. They Hats off to the writers and the artists that are doing a horror tropes, like horror movie, like alien style scares, but can be consumed by a PG-13 audience. Um,
Oh.
yeah, there's a big lights out amphitheater, this spooky dinosaur monster of the week kind of thing. Dinosaur showed
But
up, and it was
do you guys
spooky.
cool? Do you guys get the hospital? Um, in the US, I think it was a Stephen King series, TV series.
Mhm.
But because I watch weird television, I got the original Danish with subtitles, which was done by Lars von Tritter, who has done weird stuff. But
Mhm.
at the end of each episode, the particular body horror episode, he's talking about horror. And horror is not the gore you see on the screen. Horror happens inside your head.
Yeah.
It's the thing that gets in there that you just can't quite deal with. And so, yeah, I mean, I can see you can do horror that's PG-13, or you can do the completely over the top stuff, say Evil Dead. But it's what you try and worm in there, the ideas, the memes.
Yeah, that's the way they go about it. It's the because it's showing from the viewpoint of these between 19 and like 22-year-old young adults, basically kids. They're like freshmen, sophomore year in college, right? Um, and it portrays going from two different viewpoints of the hunter and the hunted, and
Mm,
it's
yeah.
it's this dark, it's rainy, and there's the brief flashes of lightning. You'll see like the little like the rim light on this moving shape, and like that predator gleam that you'll get in the eyeball as just like scuttles
What
across the
about?
camera. Yeah, and it's like oh that is so good. And even the showrunners talking about it, it's like we know we've done a good job when we made our producer almost mess herself, in the previous screenings. Like that is the best kind of toxic work environment. Give me more of that. But yeah, I I thoroughly enjoy it. I cannot recommend it enough. Especially if it's if you've got kids, nieces, nephews, younger family members, and you just need to like entertain them with something that is fun that you can enjoy too. That show, yeah. But I think we are. I'm out of steam, and we are 9 o'clock on the dot. So,
Okay.
um, oh, for all of our viewers out there in TV, Twitch, YouTube, and other viewing sources land, thank you for tuning in, be it right now in the present or at some time in the future, to Talk Nerdy to Me. Um, you can find us at the first Friday of every month. Um, right here, this same bat channel, same bat time. But I am once again and your perpetually disheveled host. I am joined by my illustrious co-hosts, Gomi and Paulette. You guys can find me, like I said, here on the first Friday, and then on the same channel at 5 p.m. Pacific, doing the Team Plug and Play. We are playing Cyborg. So if you want to see us do unhinged goon things and a weird body horror cyberpunk, come check us out. Gomi, any things that you're doing, or are you?
Well, I'm running my local game, which is up on a Discord somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I put up random amounts of content on on the Impossible Emporium. I've gone trying to work through reconstructing the podcast I started at the end of 2019 before a particular 2020 bioplague sort of crushed it to death. And that will hopefully come up on the Tannhauser Connection YouTube channel in the next month. So yeah, I'm just sort of starting to get things rolling, mainly because I'm lazy. But you got to have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Paulette, where can people find you, and what are you working on?
Let's see. You can find me Monday through Friday on the Discord channel for Fantasy Grounds, where I work. That's my 9 to 5. In my off time, the Damsels of Death and Destruction will probably be coming back to streaming in September. So look forward to our group coming back.
The
And
D of D and
hopefully
D. Yeah.
it's the triple Ds. That's where the group originally started, with David Middleton as our DM back in the day. And hopefully by January, I will have released 3 games that I'm working on.
All right. Let's be looking forward to it. And, well, everyone, until then, thank you for tuning in, and we'll be seeing you later. Have a good one.
Cybernation Uncensored.